just keep the environmental mindset. You don't have to be a biologist to be an environmentalist, right?
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Welcome to Wild Developments. I'm your guide, Lauren, and it's the beginning of summer. People are visiting the beach more, so it is a great time to talk to Dr. Christine Figener. She is a sea turtle biologist that took the world by storm with a 2015 viral video that she filmed and uploaded, documenting the removal of a plastic straw from the sea turtle's nose by her research team. That video was a catalyst for a global anti-straw movement, leading to several straw bans by businesses such as Starbucks, Disney, and Alaska Airlines. The video is now considered a pivotal moment in the anti-plastic movement, and it has provided her with an incredible platform for science communication and the conservation around the use of single-use plastics and other environmental issues affecting marine life. Her research and advocacy efforts have been featured in the BBC and in National Geographic. She was named Next Generation Leader by Time Magazine in 2018, and she holds a PhD from Texas A&M University's Marine Biology ID graduate program. Dr. Christine is still actively involved in sea turtle research and conservation efforts with two organizations, NAMICA Conservation Science, a scientific consultancy, and Costa Rican Alliance for Sea Turtle Conservation and Science, COASTS, a community-led nonprofit in Costa Rica. Her mission is to strengthen grassroots sea turtle conservation efforts by developing and executing projects and training and empowering local conservationists and scientists, with an emphasis on local women. Dr. Christine, thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You are a sea turtle biologist. We are heading into sea turtle season. What inspired you to be a sea turtle biologist?
Well, I always wanted to be an ocean explorer, but it was really the sea turtles themselves, more than anything, the majestic leatherback that inspired me to become focused on sea turtles more than anything. So the first time I saw a leatherback nesting was really the moment I fell in love with these animals.
Can you describe the leatherback for somebody who doesn't know? Because they are just one of the coolest turtles.
I totally agree, but I'm also totally not biased. No, leatherbacks do not look like the typical sea turtle, I would say. So, everybody, when I say sea turtle, has immediately an image of a hard-shelled turtle. Maybe they've seen films like Finding Nemo, and Crash in that film, of course, is very much sticking in the minds of people. So leatherbacks look completely different. I sometimes call them almost like the unicorns of the sea, because so many people really don't know they even exist. And even when they see photos of them, they kind of think, wait a second, that is real? It is. So they have a soft shell. They do not have any keratinized scutes or scales, neither on their skin nor on their shell. And they have these ridges that kind of run along the shell, and they're massive, right? So on average, I'm really bad with imperial system, but an average leatherback for us is about 1.55 meters in carapace length. I think that's about 5'5" or 5'6" about. And they can weigh between, like on average, 300 to 600 kilograms. So that's, double it for the pounds, more or less. They're just huge. I mean, they're absolutely very impressive animals that still roam our oceans. They're the largest marine reptiles, if you don't count saltwater crocs. And they have been around for more than 90 million of years and survived the extinction of the dinosaurs. So pretty cool animals.
And one of their favorite foods is jellyfish. So we got to love that about them, because the jellyfish sting does not feel nice. What did you do to prepare for this career? Was it a lot of schooling? Was it a lot of time out in the field? What was that like?
Well, there was definitely a lot of schooling involved, although I wouldn't have to have gone for my PhD, because I was already play with sea turtles way before I did my PhD. So I did do my bachelor's degree in biology and then a master's in behavioral physiology and tropical ecology or animal ecology. And with that, I pretty much started working with sea turtles already. So I always want to point that out because a lot of people that are in the academic world get very hard brainwashed into believing that they have to go for their PhD. And I always say, if you do not know for sure what to do with your PhD, and specifically if you don't want to go and teach, become a professor, it might not even be necessary because it is a very miserable time. I don't know very many people that had a good time going through the PhD program, including myself. So yeah, but if you count it all together, so usually, you get at least a bachelor's degree in marine sciences or environmental sciences. And especially in the US, there's actually a lot of fun kind of field technician jobs that you can get already. And this is also a big recommendation if you do, or if you're interested in any career in marine biology that involves field work, do and get a lot of experience, best even while you're still a student, because unfortunately our universities do not prepare students well enough to really do the job. Because there's a lot of theory, but they don't really show you the field skills. So definitely a good thing is to do internships, to go and maybe on a volunteer or volunteerism trip that, works with sea turtles or sharks or whatever else you're interested in. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of field work as well that will prepare you for the work later on.
What does a typical day as a sea turtle biologist look like?
I think the most typical thing is that I never know what the day brings. So since it is field work and a lot of the things we do kind of are more reactive, I would say, than really long planned. So of course we do have a field season, but within, or like even a campaign if we do in water work, but within the, field season, I get up and there is probably some new information, maybe a nest that hatched or a turtle that came to lay her eggs or whatever. And I kind of have to react to what happened a few hours earlier. A nest that needs to be relocated, a nest that needs to be excavated. So that means there needs to be like a nest inventory that needs to be done after the nest hatches. So everybody, all of my friends that are not in that kind of work and that stay with me, they always say, my goodness, your days are really kind of just this bouquet of surprises. So we just roll with the punches. And it can be anything from computer work, very boring, analyzing data, which is actually not boring to me, but maybe sounds boring. Responding to emails, maybe writing, a proposal for funding, to, really being out on the beach at night, patrolling the beach to look for nesting females or do a smelly excavation, getting all the eggs that didn't hatch out of a nest and hopefully finding some baby turtles to be rescued. So all of that is part, of course.
So I think a lot of people don't realize, especially when we're vacationing, that sea turtles come up on the beach and that's where they nest, like you were saying. So as we're heading into vacation season, how can we be good stewards when we're visiting the beach?
Yeah, so first of all, it is important to know that most sea turtle species nest at night, right? So even though there is not a single sea turtle to be seen during the day, and you might not see, that there is eggs that are buried in the sand, I can assure you there are. You might see a track that gives them away, but the thing is, those females that come up at night, they pretty much dig a hole into the sand. They lay all their eggs in that hole, then close it, and those eggs need to incubate for 2 months in order for the babies to hatch. And so if you are walking on top of those nests, if you, for example, have an umbrella and you like kind of put it into the ground, it could be that you are actually piercing some sea turtle eggs. So it is always important to first of all keep the beach itself as sea turtle friendly as possible for the nesting mothers, as well as for the babies that later on hatch and make their way to the beach, to the water. So that means do not leave any kind of furniture lying around when you leave the beach, right? So put it away. Do not use those, sun umbrella thingies. Best if you dug any kind of holes, any sand castles or whatnot, close them up, keep it flat so the babies don't fall into it. It become victim to any predators. And also the females, if the holes are big enough. There was a stupid TikTok challenge a year ago where people just dug massive holes on the beach. Turtles can actually fall inside of those holes. And the other thing is, if you happen to stay at a hotel, choose your hotel for categories that actually, or like that, if they are based close to a sea turtle nesting beach, that they actually, use lighting that is sea turtle friendly. So that means they shouldn't use white light at all. Indirect light, kind of amber reddish light would be the perfect one, or even turning it completely off at night so the sea turtles do not get disoriented and walk towards inland and not towards the sea. So that's another thing that's important. And of course, don't leave any trash on the beach, right? Plastic especially, and other debris should go home with you and then be discarded properly.
In your research, how does the future look for sea turtles? Is there still hope?
If there wouldn't be hope, I wouldn't be doing my job. I would be sitting somewhere on a deserted island and get drunk every day and just enjoy the end of the world. I think there is definitely hope. I mean, what gives me the most hope are two things. So first of all, sea turtles, with all the stuff that they have against them, right? Because there is a lot. There is the direct exploitation of their eggs and meat and shell. There is bycatch, incidental bycatch by the industrial fisheries, ghost nets, ocean pollution, plastic, and, chemical pollution. There's so much, really. But these animals have been around for millions of years. I think I mentioned that already. So they are incredibly resilient. And even when you see, an injured sea turtle, you can just see the strength that they have to still kind of, follow through with their program to come to the beach and onto the beach and nest and all of that. So my hope really is that this resilience will help them to overcome even those threats if we just put a little bit, effort into protecting them, because we can see already that the protection efforts that started in like the 60s, 70s, they are effective. They already have, results. And that is already because sea turtles have an incredibly long generation time. So that means the babies that are now born, depending on the species, will not reach sexual maturity until like 25 to 45 years, right? So this is giving me hope. So I know that if we are getting our act together, because really it is all depending on us and our way of living, if sea turtles will have a chance. And the second thing that gives me hope is actually the new generation that are becoming adults right now, because I can see that it is becoming way more in vogue to be pro-environment and to care for, our life basis pretty much, because a lot of people have forgotten how important, that we can't really live without, clean water, clean air, pollinators and all of that. We have lost this connection to our nature as well, or to nature in general. And I think this is changing. I think people have come to realize that, it is not about just saving sea turtles. It's actually about saving, our life support system. Because if the ocean dies, we will die as a species as well. And for that reason, I always kind of hate the narrative. It's like, save our oceans. That's kind of save humanity. That is really what it boils down to. And I think the new generation got it, right? They've grown up with this anxiety about climate change, really intensifying right now. And I think you have to be very blind to not, see what is going on in the world everywhere. Sea levels are rising, temperatures are rising. And so seeing that the next generation is doing as much as they do, that really gives me hope. So, for all the old people that are just not willing to do their part, well, too bad. But, their time will be over soon. And hopefully the next generation is taking over.
I think that you're right. There is hope. And actually, because you had a viral video with the sea turtle and the straw, and that inspired the next generation. It inspired my son and his friend Gracie. And she went to the director at Wave with Newport and said, what can I do? I want to educate people about this. People need to know. She was so inspired. So her and Connor went all around the tri-state area. They were giving presentations and educating people about the importance of picking up your trash. And they ended up raising $5,000 for sea turtle conservation. It was all because they saw your video. What was going through your head when you saw that sea turtle? Actually, hold on, time out. I have a surprise for you.
Okay.
Gracie just graduated from high school, and Connor turns 16 tomorrow. It'll be today when the show airs. And they wanted to come on and thank you for your work.
Oh, wow. Hi there.
Hi.
Well, thank you so much for everything. This is incredible. See, this is why I have hope. This is exactly the reason why. I mean, yeah, there is a video, but, you know, some people might have seen it and didn't care about it, but you guys actually did something about it, right? And this is exactly what I mean with the next generation. They just get it. For them, it's inherently right to go out and, you know, do something about certain things. Hi, Gracie. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay, there we go.
Hi.
I love that. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys. You must have been a lot younger when you probably did the whole fundraising, huh?
Yeah, well, it's been a little bit. I don't know how long ago that was. How long?
Well, the video came out almost 10 years ago. So it was 2015 when it was like viral. So 9 years ago, about.
So I think they started around 2017. I don't know if that's just when, or maybe you talked to Wave in 2016 and you guys really got started around 2017, and they went to the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital twice to donate 2 different checks totaling about $5,000. So Gracie, when you saw the video, what did you think?
I mean, I was just like, I think I was just like in disbelief, kind of, that, you know, a lot of people have been talking about this, and a lot of people, you know, it was a lot of talk, and I never seen like an actual video of that before. And I think it kind of just like struck something in me and like my heart. And it was like, I really need to do something about this. And that's when I started talking to people, and I talked to my mom, and I was like, I need to do something about this. And I felt very strongly about it, and I still do. And I care about the environment, and, you know, I just really wanted to help. I wanted to be hands-on. I didn't just want to like talk about it again like other people did, but I wanted to actually try to make an impact in the environment. So,
yeah, see, this is exactly what needs to happen, right? Beautiful. Yeah, this is exactly because, I mean, this was such an ugly situation, right? I mean, there was so much suffering caused by this like tiny plastic object. And I mean, at least for me, while we were in that situation, you know, you also feel guilty because, I mean, who can say that they've never used a plastic straw in their life? Yeah. And so I think this, you know, we always try to analyze what was appeal sounds a little bit wrong in that context, but what was really, you know, so special about that video that, you know, really hit home with so many people. And I think this is exactly, you know, this kind of suffering, and then also something that you feel like you need to do about it, something. So yeah, so of like this really not so great situation, I think that has a beautiful movement resulted, right? That has inspired many people by now, and, you know, everybody is doing their little part, and I think this is amazing. This is just exactly how it should be. So thank you so much to both of you.
Of course.
When you came across that turtle, you knew something was wrong. Had you ever seen a plastic straw in a turtle before like that?
So we actually didn't know that there was something wrong. So my colleague Nathan, that was on the boat that day with me, he was researching ectobiones, so the little critters that live on the animals. And we have seen barnacles. So barnacles is like one of those, you know, hard-shelled crustaceans that, kind of build their homes on different animals. And we have seen barnacles on very strange places. So in the insides of turtles' mouth and whatnot, but never in the nose. But that's what we thought it was. And when he was trying to extract it, I was just like, okay, I'm going to film it. It's kind of a funny position. And then it turned out really quickly to be something very different, not a barnacle. Then he thought it's a tube worm because they do make those little calcified tunnel thingies. But then my other local assistant, when we cut up a piece to just kind of check out what the material is, he bit on it and he was like, well, that's plastic. That's not natural. That is plastic. And at that point, because I had it, on very big on my camera screen, I was already seeing the black stripes of it. And I was immediately thinking, gosh, that looks like a straw. But it can't be, right? It cannot be a straw in a turtle's nose. But it was a straw in a turtle's nose.
Have you ever seen anything like that since, or anything similar?
Yeah. In fact, we have. So it's kind of curious. Of course, after that video, I think people started to check noses of sea turtles, which we might not have done before. And ever since, we have found at least one plastic fork, one plastic spoon, and a kind of lollipop thing. And I think I've seen it also, like some other like anecdotes of people finding other things. So the reason I think that happens is that when people feed underwater, they usually swallow whatever, the mouthful that they grab, but they also swallow a lot of seawater, right? Because if you're trying to eat underwater, there's also water coming into your mouth. And usually before they really swallow it all the way down into their stomach, they extract the water. So that means they close the mouth and then they expel the water through their nostrils. So there is a connection between the nose and the mouth cavity, and they just kind of spit out the water. You can see that actually really beautifully in the sea turtle hospitals in the rehab center when the turtle eats slightly above water. So the mouth is underwater, but the nostrils are above water. So you can see when she eats that there's actually water running out of the nostrils. And if you have plastic that is very lightweight, it probably would try to go the way of the water, but then get stuck right in this, connection between the mouth and the nose. And I mean, when we looked at the shape of the straw, which must have been in that turtle for quite a while, it was really kind of, calcified at points and whatnot. It was really, perfectly aligning with the anatomical shape of exactly that connection. And when the Mexican team found the spoon, it didn't even make it all the way through just yet, because they found it within the mouth, and I don't even know what you call it, but the handle was pretty much in that connection already, and the part that you stick into your mouth, which is a little bit wider, couldn't pass, of course, and so it was blocking the airways from the inside, pretty much inside of it was like at the roof of the mouth.
I know when I'm walking the beach and I see, any sort of plastic trash, I'm like, I got to pick it up because it will make a difference to that one animal that you'll see out there. Have you heard of any other stories like the Turtle Squad where they saw your video and they were so inspired that they took action?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was really involved in back in the days. I think they switched their focus away from plastic now, but back in the days, they had like a big boot camp for youth. It was called Ocean Heroes Boot Camp, where they had literally kids from all over the world. It was beautiful that, came to this, I think, almost a week of boot camp where they were taught like how to set up a campaign in their communities and whatnot. So a lot of the kids that applied, I was told, were actually, saying that they got inspired by my video. And so this is incredible, of course, to hear, that it does or did make somehow a difference, because sometimes it just felt so stupid to just have a viral video out there. I mean, it looks a little bit strange on your CV. I mean, I write it down, but then it's kind of viral video. Like, what the hell?
But it was for something positive that made a positive impact, and it wasn't for some sort of dance or something.
That is true. That is true. And I usually also say, what it led to and why I'm even putting it on my CV maybe. But yeah, it's just a strange world we live in nowadays.
Yeah. Well, Connor and Gracie, do you guys have any questions for Dr. Christine? I mean, she inspired you guys on this wild ride to help sea turtles, and you guys had some amazing experiences from that. What do you have to ask her?
Whenever you were filming that, had you like filmed any videos in the past for sea turtles, or was this just like a random might as well film?
That's a good question. So, I am a photographer, so I have done a lot of photos. And for my study, or the study that we were actually doing at that point, I was filming mating couples. So that was really what I was doing there. And that's the reason why I had a camera with me. And I wasn't really big into videography, let's say it that way. And I don't even remember why I had a YouTube channel, but I had a YouTube channel and it had maybe 2 videos before on that. I don't even know if I had any subscribers. And this video really showed me and I didn't even have an Instagram, for example. I didn't get my Instagram until like 2018. So I wasn't really big into social media at all. But that video didn't only teach me that there's a lot of people that want to be inspired to do more, but it also taught me how powerful social media can be if you use it for the right things, right? So of course, not stupid dances, where I feel my brain cells sometimes die, but really using it to transport a message to people, and especially the younger generation. I know that you guys are not even on Instagram anymore. I think for you, it's more TikTok probably, or even, what is it? Be Real. It's really difficult sometimes to keep up. And I have to say, for example, TikTok is also not my platform. It's too fast. There's no community really attached to it. That's really what I like about Instagram, because it's really a community that you build there. But it's still powerful, right? You reach so many people. I can be literally tucked away in the jungle here in Costa Rica, but as long as I have internet, I can let people participate in what I'm seeing. And I don't have to carry that weight of certain things either anymore, all by myself. Because sometimes as a person, involved in conservation, you can get very lonely sometimes, because a lot of times in your closest environment, there's not that many people that necessarily support what you're doing, but on the contrary, might even do some damage, where we talk about illegal harvest of sea turtle eggs or meat and all of that, or the government that doesn't want to give us the permits. It's kind of there's a lot of problems and a lot of issues. And so it can be very positive to be able to connect with community, right? That is like-minded. And nowadays, because of the internet, I have access to. Before that, I didn't, right? I was just here all by myself in the jungle.
Just wondering, were you expecting the video to go viral, or, I mean, I know that's kind of vague, but like, were you
not at all. And you know what? The funny thing is, so many people have asked me or have come up to me and were like, oh, Chris, I have this video. I really wanted to go viral. Can you help me? And I'm like, I have no idea how or what the recipe is of like going viral. I remember that when it started to blow up, I think we were maybe at a few thousand views, like literally a few thousand. I think we might not have even hit 5,000 or 10,000 views. I wrote a message to my academic advisor with like a twinkie smile. It was like, oh, we're going all viral. I think I even put it in quotation marks. But yeah, it was a week or 2 weeks of craziness, right? Where we were literally checking every half an hour the numbers that were just going up, and all the media outlets that were contacting us and asking us for comments on it, and people that stole our video as well and just like reposted it without any context, any comments. I mean, I love that it went so viral, but it would have been great if people would have also carried the message about plastic, not just the sensationalism of like the suffering, but also the information, not so much about like, I wouldn't even care about that was my name attached to it, but more about okay, what did actually happen in that video and what can you do about it so that won't happen again, right? And that means do not use plastic. But yeah, we did not expect it to go viral.
I just think it's interesting, like, how videos do get passed along, like you said, with like the context kind of be taken like away from it. And like I'm sure you got a lot of like maybe not great responses to the video. How did you like deal with that, if you got any like negative responses?
I think in the beginning, because the negative responses were always circulating kind of around the same thing, people were criticizing that we wouldn't anesthetize the turtle, that we wouldn't have taken it to the doctors. But I think, people have no idea about the realities of working in a country in the global south, right? Nowadays, we actually have finally a veterinarian that knows how to deal with sea turtles. But 10 years ago, when that video happened, we didn't have that. We didn't have anybody in this country that actually knew how to take care of sea turtles, which are ectotherms. So that means they're cold-blooded. And it's actually, not an easy feat to put ectotherms under. There is a big risk attached to it. And of course, after we were on the boat in the middle of the ocean, not talking about that, and it's an endangered species. So we do have certain permits that that authorize us to do certain things, but I couldn't have just grabbed that turtle, loaded it into my car, and driven I don't know where with that turtle without being able to regulate its body temperature and whatnot. And the authorities a lot of times are not of great help. We've had that in the past. They're just like, oh, this is nature, just let it happen. And so we kind of addressed those comments in the commentary under the video. And after I've done that, I actually kind of stopped reading the comments because, it's so easy to criticize sitting in the safety of your home in an, comfortable chair. I think this is really sometimes what annoys me about the internet, because I'm here, I'm on the front lines, I'm actually doing something. I have had to make, huge sacrifices to do what I'm doing, which I think a lot of people wouldn't be even willing in the slightest to make. And then you have exactly those same people that are very comfortable, at home, not doing anything, criticizing of how I'm doing things, right? So I'm always saying, you know what? Maybe you go and do your thing first, and then we discuss about how the certain things can and cannot be done. So I think this is just like, always respecting what other people are doing. Of course, you can say, there's always a better or best way, but hindsight is always 2020. Sometimes you do not have the, the insight that, of course, in the retrospective you will have. And I think, it's very detrimental how people sometimes act around other people and, just diminish or try to diminish what they are doing while they are doing nothing.
And you're still out there promoting. You just wrote a book, My Life with Sea Turtles. You have plans for another book, and how are you going to keep this going?
Wow, yeah, there's a lot of pressure involved with, keeping it going. No, yeah, so I wrote the book. It just was published like a week ago. I hope it's not boring. I don't think it is. It's a nonfiction book. There's a lot of turtle facts, but it's packaged a little bit about my life adventure. So I would call it like a travel adventure memoir, also nonfiction book about sea turtles. So I hope people learn a lot about sea turtles without even noticing. I am writing already another book, but it's not going to be a nonfiction. It's actually going to be a fiction book. It's going to be a novel, but it will be inspired by real life events. The reason I'm writing it that way is that, while I was writing the other book, there were just sometimes things that sound too crazy, even though they're real, to put them in a nonfiction book. And I think it helps me sometimes to also, I like to reconcile certain facts about the world. Like, in a novel, I can write the world a little bit more pretty than it might be in real life. I don't know how to put it else. Yeah. So it will be maybe a little bit therapeutic as well for myself, what it is already.
Well, yeah, I will be on the lookout for that book. I know I've got yours set aside with my beach stuff for the end of June. I'm going to be reading that on the beach, hoping maybe we'll see some sea turtle nests along the beach. But how can people find you, and where can they keep up on all the things that are going on with you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is probably to go to my website, seaturtlebiologist.com. So pretty easy to remember. You can sign up for my newsletter. That doesn't come out too often. It's just like, I try to keep it low key so people don't get inundated. And of course, social media, Facebook, Instagram, either with my full name, Christine Figgener, or on Instagram as Sea Turtle Biologist as well. Is usually where you can see all the stories I post, from my everyday work. And then, of course, videos and posts about what I'm doing and what I'm up to.
And before we go, what is one tip you have for someone that would like to connect with nature?
Well, I think it is rather quite easy because, even if you live in a city, or, well, even better if you live somewhere in the countryside, but, every time you go outside, rather than taking the car, because I know that's a US American thing, maybe go for a stroll or take your bike or take your dog for a nice long walk and just like look around, look at the green spaces, try to see what's still there, right? And just appreciate, because I think sometimes we live so fast. And even in your own backyard, the flowers, the trees, the birds, whatever is there, I think there's so many things. And ask questions. Sometimes you see things and like, wow, what kind of a strange thing is this insect doing or whatnot? And then maybe, go into the internet and see if you can find the answer there. And if not, investigate a little bit.
Dr. Christine, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your knowledge about sea turtles. And thank you for inspiring these two to do the Turtle Squad.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. And thank you so much, Gracie and Connor, for everything you've done. I really, 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 it makes me so happy. That totally makes my day.
And until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.